I am. No, I'm not. I'm a little sweaty.
Where are you? Okay.
Are you nervous to be back, or is it the bright lights?
It's the bright lights, the big city, and the fact that I didn't have my pen to write down every time Arash swears.
What? No. You're going to need a bigger goddamn piece of paper, my friend.
We get a lot of shots. Everybody come to the net. We just have to get more and more pucks to the net.
I'm about to listen to Pucks on Net.
We used to talk about in Vancouver getting pucks on net.
Pucks on net. What were you saying about putting pucks on net?
This is JT Miller with the Vancouver Canucks, and you're listening to Pucks on Net.
Pucks on net and driving and making a hard night on them.
Live on tape from Geeta, your literal house of greed.
Yeah.
This is Pucks on It, a Vancouver hockey podcast that doesn't talk about fantasy stats, but probably will talk about fancy stats.
Yeah.
We're pretty close. I've waited 8 years. We finally have a table to podcast at, which is I've won the lottery. That's all that matters.
Yeah, I literally went and got the most dope old growth wood that I could find to make this table because I don't give a frick. I am so upset that who's the conservative guy that lost?
Aaron O'Toole.
Aaron O'Toole. That guy was the future of this country. And Maxime Bernier, people, I'm going to get on a little hot take. I think people misunderstood Maxime Bernier.
What did you do on your little break from the podcast?
I did my research, Ryan.
You know who the most controversial leader was, though? Anime Paul.
Oh, yeah.
Did they go to Tofino too?
This is a day of reconciliation and truth, but first, skimboarding.
My name's Ryan Schapp. I'll be your host for the evening. Sitting to my camera right, immediate left.
You can't guess. I'm sorry. Ryan is so adorable because it's like he's on a first date.
Yeah.
I swear to God, he's like his hair is done up. His heart is beating. He's got this smile on his face, being like,
And he's like wiping his forehead.
yeah, he's
with
like
his
wiping
napkin.
yeah, dude.
I don't know why I'm sweating so much.
It's like how did these two swipe
do
right
you
on
want to
me?
share the salad? I'm sorry, I sweat into it.
Are you guys? Are you getting something light? Are we? Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm vegan. Sure, I'll do vegan.
Wait, is there any? Can I get some pork in that?
Oh wait, oh wait.
Mr. Arash from Mars today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Welcome to Pucks on Net. Welcome to sports. You survived this summer, guys. I'm so happy for you. I hope the summer was as good as for our listeners as it was for us.
I think so.
What?
I don't think anybody cared about hockey over the summer.
You think Mills had a bad summer? There's no way Mills had a bad summer.
Oh, he had a good summer.
He was on the list being like, okay, what kind of crazy ass trade proposals can I make?
There is some big fantasy draft updates we got to get to in a second, and of course, the proprietor of this House of Greed, Miss Geeta, Reddy. How are you doing?
I'm happy to be here. Happy to be back.
This is your house.
I'm happy to be back to the podcast.
That's true. That's true. Not me though.
No.
I'm sweating to the oldies over here.
Dude, you are shook. Mm-hmm. Is it because you just haven't podcasted in person? We're in person, by the way.
Yeah, the last time we podcasted in person, we had to sit at a table. We didn't have a table. We were sitting on a couch. We were cramped in. There were lights burning into my eyes.
Yeah. And
It was also like August.
Oh my God.
It was a heat wave.
It became legal to do, and then we're like, maybe not.
Bonnie really loves the give and take away method. You know, she's like, okay, you guys can hang out. No, you can't. Oh, no, you can. Okay, 4 people. No more. Maybe 6.
That's why we made the podcast changes.
No, yeah.
You can only have 3. Dr. Bonnie Henry was like, you only have 3 people on a podcast.
Yeah. Ryan got a hot take about what was going down in Wuhan way before everyone knew and was like, welcome to Pucks on Net. We've made some changes.
Welcome to Pucks on Net. I want to thank you for joining us wherever you got us from. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at PucksNetCA or PucksNetCA. We have a big development on the Twitter. We'll get to that in a second. We got a lot to get to today.
Wait, who's calling?
Who? We don't have any CAWs yet. Somebody's got to buy the rights to the CAW. So
nobody's bought the rights to the CAW?
No, I mean Heather Smart keeps giving us all her money, but yeah, go to our Canada project. And if you do want to support the show monetarily, buy the rights to the CAW or get. I think at this time, there's only 1 spot left in the Pucks and Net Fantasy League, assuming we go 16 teams. Mm-hmm. I believe Not So Average Joe has not renewed, and the illustrious Doug Krapp. So those 2 are current Patreon backers. and we need to give them that opportunity. But if you do want to join that, maybe get on board last minute, and it is the beginning of the month, the best time to join the Patreon because you get charged immediately. Head on over to patreon.com/pucksonnet where you can pledge a couple of bucks.
Couple of dollary dues, please.
For those on the audio, for those listening, Geeta's dog Misha slightly dropped her bone, and you were just like,
Well, I mean, she's had a tough evening.
Okay, you know what? I feel we got to do something. Can I make a little executive order here? I know you got to get into stuff, Ryan. I really do, but I feel like there's some first date nerves here that we got to get out of the way.
Okay.
All right. So how are we going to get into this?
You want to stand up and shake it off?
You want to shake it off, right? You want to touch my butt?
Maybe.
Come on. You want to? Oh my God! I know.
Did you look down?
Can you shotgun a beer?
I am not shotgunning a beer. It's a Monday. It is a school night.
It's a school.
But I mean, okay. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. I know we have a band segment coming up.
Yeah, too hot for TV.
Why don't we take back the shotgun?
I mean, we could. Shotgun Ryan, calm his nerves. I mean, this is a pretty tall beer. That's a tall order for a tall boy.
Abbotsford needs a new hero, Ryan.
Number one with a... Not going to say that.
Sick. Okay, we got the jimmies out of the way. Go ahead.
Patreon.com/pucksonnet. I'm going to steal a good salesman line. Go check it out. Folks, go to patreon.com/pucksonnet. It's free to look. We'll leave it there. We have some backers to thank this week. Long-standing suffering listener Mills, he's pledged a big shiny $1. Thank you for that. And a new Patreon backer, Richard Honeycutt, one of the best names I've seen in a while. Mr. Honeycutt, he's pledging $5. He's in the Fantasy Hockey League. That draft is next Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. A little early enough so that the East Coasters can get in on that.
I'm gonna get a little insider information. How wet are the Vancouver Canucks this year, Misha?
That's pretty wet.
Pretty wet, guys. Oliver Ekman Larson is patrolling the blue line. Misha agrees. Let's go.
So, on that subject note, listen. Every now and then there are some there are some changes. There's some format changes. There's a new character. That season of Friends where Joey moves out and Eddie moves in and everybody loved him. Imitation is the best, sincerest form of flattery, and every good rock and roll song is just a rip-off of a Black Sabbath lyric. So we're ripping off some local radio. We're bringing an editorial style to this. Once a week, it'll be myself, it will be Arash, or in this case, it will be Geeta to take us off the top of the show in a direction about what we're going to talk about this week. And just in case, for 8 years we've started this show like a literal train wreck where we go, I don't know how we're going to start this or what we're going to talk about. We'll just hope for the best. So we're now starting things off with a little bit of an editorial, little opinion segment to hear everybody gets their point of view off each week. I can't remember what we decided to name this, Geeta.
Okay.
Is it Ready or Not, or are you ready for this?
Arash, what do you think is better?
You're
the tiebreaker.
What was the? It's the Ready or Not. Here I come.
So it's Fugees.
It's the Fugees.
But I can't use Taylor Swift's Are You Ready for This? Boom, boom.
You could use that. I just don't want to give Lauryn Hill any money.
Okay, so there. It's Ready or Not with Geeta, but I just need to ask the listeners.
So we're not going hot and ready and giving our money to Little Caesars.
No, that was a big fear for a while.
We're not giving Steve Yzerman any more money.
Are you ready for it?
It's been both a very long off season and yet still not long enough. So dedicating the start of this season to Mr. Jim Benning. First, the Oliver Ekman Larson trade. This was a bad idea in the summer of 2020, and not like the Calgary Stampede bad, but like a really, really bad one and seemingly costly one. I mean, the jury is still out, and we know Ekman Larson won't be the second coming of Nicholas Lidstrom, but on a list of overall top Swedish defensemen, he sits only behind the legend that is Alex Edler. I have made my feelings loud and clear, and my anxiety is high, but 2 months have passed since this massive trade that was, And sitting on the cusp of the 2021-2022 season, I'll give this move the benefit of the doubt. Travis Hamonek. What is this acquisition that never was? Seemingly all the contradictory reasons to just not play. This is a curious case with much speculation and nothing concrete except a $3 million defenseman that never wanted to really wear the Canucks jersey, it seems. And speaking of defensemen, we're going to end on a high note. Finally, the Canucks have managed to sign their top defenseman to top D-men dollars. But what took so long? Why did it take Pettersson and Hughes trolling the team by dining at Little Caesars in Detroit with Stevie Y before they locked in Hughes and gave Petey a respectable bridge deal? Doesn't matter. There's a collective sigh from the most antsy city in North America and rejoicing. Credit where credit is due. No one is upset with Benning here, at least.
It's been absolute chaos since literally 2 days ago. They decided to wait until all eyes were on American League wildcard race to somehow sign the two most important players in the franchise.
Don't bring your trauma into this. This isn't a safe space for that, okay?
Everything that's happened in the offseason, I mean, you know, we don't want to divide the fan base too much than everybody does, but there is a group of people rejoicing that Slick Willie or Slick Jim or Slickback Jimbo Jet Black Jim does it again. But in the reality, the two things you heard from the agents in the press today was, boy, they really wanted to sign long term. You know, Pettersson wanted 5 years here, but they just couldn't afford it with the salary cap structure. Mm-hmm. And you're just like, wow, huh?
There are no secrets in Vancouver. Everyone is just saying exactly like how it is.
Yeah, there's no. It's like I watched the first 2 episodes of All or Nothing, or the Maple Leafs, and Brendan Shanahan's working in this strange dark office like he's Commissioner Gordon and Batman or something, but like Jim Benning's just working in a glass cubicle. By the Dunsmuir Viaduct, and everyone can see his felt board and what he's doing, and the math that he's done that makes, okay, I have 82.86 million, and it's like everything's out there, and then you make these assumptions, and they're always pretty close. Like, right. You have your journalists or your local journalists that will, make a suggestion. Here's what I think is going on, and when when all the cards are down, it's like, yeah, that's pretty much what happened. Like there's no Steve Yzerman mystery. There's no Tampa Bay Lightning mystery.
There's no finesse. It's just like, this is how it is. There's like nothing is sacred that comes out of like the head office at Rogers Arena.
No.
Yeah. So no. Well, okay. I have to take a second because I this offseason was really crazy and it took a little while for everyone to decompress just to see where these moves were going, for at least in terms of the Canucks and their kind of want to compete now. I mean, they've always seemingly wanted to compete now, even when they were rebuilding. They're like, we're going to compete now.
Third in the Pacific seems a reasonable.
They never rebuilt.
Mikey Chapeau, get out there. We're giving you power play 1, kiddo. Okay, so in terms of the offseason, I have to give Jim quite a bit of credit because I don't know if this is the bar being, like the bar of expectation being as low as it was going into this offseason, being like, okay, well, Louis Eriksson's going to be Bo's winger again, So he makes the OEL trade. He gets Garland, he gets OEL, he pushes all that 1-year money out. Buys out Redacted. He buys out Braden Holtby. Goes and gets Jason Dickinson from Dallas. They get Podkolzin over. And, the Petey and the Hughes contracts. Now, the Petey and the Hughes contracts took a while, and they kind of ended up where everyone, like you guys said, like where everyone kind of speculated they would end up.
And they are good deals.
They're good deals. Now, breaking the 2 down, Pettersson being signed for 3, in my humble opinion, if they had signed him for 5, I think that's disastrous. That would have been.
You march him to free agency.
You walk him to UFA status, and you have no control. And there is Elias Pettersson in his prime. It would be one of, like, how often do you see franchise number one center players in this league get into free agency. You don't.
No.
You just don't.
No.
So it would have been catastrophic for them to have signed him to a 5-year deal, walk into free agency and being like, oh, I hope, but you said you liked Jappa Dog. I thought you'd stay. No, that's not what would have happened. Now, the flip side to the 3-year deal is that there's 1 year left in his RFA status that, he could take a qualifying offer and just kind of walk himself to UFA, but that's a lot of money. Like, there's a risk involved into that, right?
Right.
That 1 year where if he signs that 1 year and like he breaks his leg or something bad happens, then it's like, okay, no one's going to go and give you this crazy long-term contract because now they have questions about what the hell's going on.
Yeah, it benefits nobody in that last year.
And so that's at least that's the benefit in there. And then Quinn Hughes is signed to 6 years. And I hear a lot of people complaining about this Quinn Hughes being like, "Yeah, he's not good defensively. He's not Scott Stevens."
Are you been hanging out with your friend Jack Hughes again?
Oh yeah, I'm friends with Luke and Jack, and let me tell you, I'm in a group chat.
Scott Stevens was once a 38-year-old man laying out people on the Philadelphia Flyers.
Giving up.
Quinn Hughes is a young boy still.
He's asleep most of the day.
Scott Stevens is giving out concussions like IKEA, like Costco wants you to take little mini vegan dogs that they've wrapped in
It's not the NHL of 1994.
Yeah, and I also, it's a couple factors in the Quinn deal is that with the cap that goes up, the deal becomes better.
Yeah,
right.
Continues to become better because again, his cost is kind of pushed down. Second, like you look at this, you look at the league and look at someone like, okay, just the base level. Like I'm thinking of the most base level player I can think of in comparison to Quinn Hughes, like in this league right now is Keith Yandel.
Okay.
Right. So Keith Yandel is a complete power play specialist. That is all he is. And if we look at Quinn Hughes and we say all Quinn can do is play the power play, which is not true.
No.
The kid defends he doesn't defend I'm going to get in front of the net and I'm going to cross-check you into, Thanos. Or Thanos
the
levels.
NHL is not changing the rule book about him when he goes after Sidney Crosby in the playoffs.
Yeah, no, I think also a lot of Quinn, like a lot of Quinn's plays should be dictated with his D partner.
Yeah.
Whereas
Right.
D partner needs to kind of help him gain possession, and then that's how Quinn actually is effective defensively, where he gets the puck out of your own zone.
And he is
That's
a
how he defends.
defenseman who has not yet had a consistent defense partner.
Yeah.
You know who his rumored defense partner is going to be to start the year?
I don't want to talk about it.
Big, long neck. They call him Big Long.
I love Tyler Myers because, of course, I did a story on him for the Botchard Project. I think
Because he's the longest tenured
he's
Canucks defenseman now.
He's hilarious, and I think Tyler Myers is this incredibly unique defenseman that is completely miscast.
Yeah.
And how people in the NHL view him, they're like, why doesn't he hit more? Like, it's always hitting. It always comes down to hitting with defensemen. You don't crunch people. You're 6'7". You should decapitate multiple generations of families on the ice.
Think about it for a second. If you're a defenseman and you're hitting people, you're out of position. You don't have the puck.
Yeah. And I do I think that in terms of Mizey's contract, like, is he a bit overpaid? Yeah. But again,
all UFAs are.
All UFAs are.
Mm-hmm.
So Quinn doesn't have that partner there, and that's the tough part. And Keith Yandel is a complete, like the comparison being complete power play specialist. Keith Yandel has been in this league for how long? And he's had how many crazy contracts that have like been bought out, and he keeps getting, he keeps producing, and because that's a benefit. Hey, you know what's great? Having a power play that works.
Hey, PP1. Oh God.
Oh, damn, pal.
Where's he playing right now?
Florida?
Philadelphia?
Yeah, he took a little 1 year, $1 million, being like with Kevin Hayes, being like, dirty Connecticut, baby, let's go. Boston, let's go. Ha ha ha. And he's doing that. And he's playing Power Play 1 in Philly.
Yeah.
He's doing great.
Anybody can play Power Play 1 in Philly.
Not everyone. It takes a...
Geeta did.
I mean, I know Geeta did, but it takes a pretty high IQ to play with someone as a genius as Claude Giroux is on the half wall.
Let's take a little bit.
He just does. I'm sorry, Ryan. I'm talking about Claude Giroux for a second. He does stuff on the half wall
Banned.
that Hollywood couldn't even make up in the craziest Werner Herzog
Do you want to introduce that segment now?
According to Ryan, we're going to have a band segment.
Yeah. But I mean, have you thought about it? Or are you just going to shut up Arash about Claude?
I love this. I just want to randomly yell.
I'll stop. Okay, no, I'll stop. I'll stop talking about Jesus for a second.
It's like we need a buzzer.
Yeah. But no. So the PD and Elias deals. The one thing is that I was scurrying around Cap Friendly is that when Pettersson's deal comes up and they have to re-sign him, they want to probably give him eight years. Mm-hmm. They have a few things they have to do. One of those things, one kind of grouping is a trio of RFA re-signing. So that's Rathbone, Hoglander, Podkolzin. Mm-hmm. They need their second contracts. Besser's up after this year. He has a high qualifying number they have to figure out.
He's got an 8 next to his name, I would say.
Yeah, 7 or an 8. He's probably in the top 15.
In the millions or in the years?
No, attractiveness.
Attractiveness, yes.
7 or an 8.
Okay.
I mean, if they gave Besser an 8 by 8, I don't think
it's a generous 8.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, generous 8.
He's more of a nice 7-ish.
Right.
Yeah. You're not losing any.
It's a generous 8 to hang on to him, but he's also like trade bait year after year, or at least according to Canucks Twitter.
He led the team. He led the team in scoring last year, and if he has a straight up 82 game season, you're looking. He's going to score 30-30, and if you're thinking 30-30, that's Max Pacioretty numbers, in terms of wingers, and that's
of course.
Great. And then after that, there's JT Miller, and then Bo Horvat's a UFA. But those are in terms of core players. Now Miller. My biggest take is that Miller, the moment he's offered to go into UFA, he's going to take that option and go. So
go to Pittsburgh,
go wherever. Just I don't know wherever.
He's American.
He's American.
Yeah,
okay.
Pennsylvanian, I believe.
Yeah, so that's $5.25 million off the cap, and then the other side of it is the money that's freeing up. You're looking at the big one is Myers. Myers expires the year that they have to sign Pettersson, so that's 6 years. That's $6 million off the cap.
Yeah.
Okay. You're looking at having to I think Jason Dickinson is a UFA, Tanner Pearson's a UFA. So there's money coming up.
But if you lose Myers, who's going to play with Quinn Hughes?
Luke Shen.
He'll be 38 by that point.
Man,
He'll have won 3 more Stanley Cups with
We
Tampa.
solve one problem by creating another
How
one.
funny would that be? Is if Luke Shen is like, yeah, I know, Misha. How funny would that be?
You talked about it in your segment. Like, okay, you get rid of problems.
Right.
You bring in Oliver Ekman-Larson. Oh, Tyler Myers is going to come off the books. Everything's going to be fine. Oh, but we still have Oliver Ekman-Larson, and now 7 guys need to get re-signed.
Well,
it doesn't stop.
Okay, are we on the Oliver Ekman-Larson is trash bandwagon still? Because he's had some pretty I know he's played against AHL teams, but it seems
he's looked pretty damn good against those AHL teams.
Well, I'm just saying, like, in terms of what the narrative was in terms of OEL coming into this market being like, the man is a bag of bones.
He can't skate.
He can't skate.
He can't bag skate.
He can't. Well, no, he just didn't know how to do it. That was the problem.
On one Googled list of top Swedish defensemen of all time, Oliver Ekman-Larson came one spot below Alex Edler, who we had, who wanted to stay here.
And now he's wearing 23. And I love the comparisons. He's like a better, little more skilled. He's like Alex Edler 4 years ago.
I think in terms of like peaks, OEL's at his peak level was better than Edler at his peak level.
So we're getting a guy with a massive contract who is past his peak.
I think there's 2 points to that. The first point being the contract sucks. The contract sucks, but
straight from the horse's mouth.
But straight from listen, guys, I was signed to a 12-year contract, and I tried to get traded to Toronto.
Why do you think you're wearing such fancy clothes?
It's been a rough time for old Roberto. So the contract sucks, but if OEL's rediscovered or reinvention of his game is kind of like Edler, where his smarts don't go away and his minutes are taken down and he just learns to play, I don't know, a little bit within more of his like current physical realm. Mm-hmm. Like you're not a dude who used to run 100 yards in like 6 seconds. You have to kind of figure out what you are today. And I think with someone like OEL whom the last 2 games, again, I know the competition has been low, But in terms of like poise and certain edge, like he skates like Myers.
Oh,
but no, that's a great thing. Tyler Myers' greatest attribute is his ability to skate.
Yes,
but OEL skates like Myers, but also understand. I don't want this to be a knock against Tyler, but it's like OEL.
You know he's listening.
Yeah, he does. OEL, it's kind of like OEL knows the consequences of his actions. Like he knows, like, man, they have a breakaway. How'd they get that? Well, you tried to dangle through four people in the offensive zone, and
you only made it through the first one.
You only made it through the first one, and then
figured.
Then you went to the bench and tried to get some water.
I'll get the rest of them.
I'll get the rest of them. I think that, in terms of what OEL is going to be, I think. If he plays in that second pairing role, it's going to be fine, but it's not going to be great in terms of contract, but the play-wise is going to be fine. But also, in terms of his contract, we talked about this before last season. Mm-hmm. If this hits the fan of worst-case scenario, they can buy out his contract, and his contract is not going to be like a poison pill. Yeah. It's not like Eriksson, right? So if he has 6 years left, and let's say 4 years into this when he hits 34, it's like, okay, you cannot contribute in a 15 to 20 minute role anymore on an NHL roster and no one wants to grab you. They can buy him out, and when they buy him out, it's a 4-year cap hit. Two of the years are at $4 million, and I believe the last 2 are at either $2 or $1 million. Okay. And that's reduced because Arizona is still retaining, and they take a cap hit as well as if his contract goes away. Okay. So I think people just like, let's take a breath on the whole OEL thing. It's going to be fine. If OEL comes out, and if OEL's the only bad contract, like really bad contract,
that would be a first. It would be a first for this team in a long time.
It's like instead of having, like 5 different black holes that are trying to suck your prospects in and be like, bleh.
Let me show you the Jay Beagle way to play hockey,
I won face-offs once, remember, and I got a contract.
Antoine Roussel, he's French. He was good on Dallas once.
You remember Alex Burrows? I remember. I love Alex.
So much PTSD.
That's the one thing, we joked about that on our little announcement pod, but like a conversation about the Canucks would be, man, these 5 guys are really good and really exciting, and I hope they all get re-signed, but Jesus, these other guys that are they're always buzzing around. There's Redacted that's underperforming. That's Jay Beagle that, like, really you signed him that long because he won a Stanley Cup. And, well, I mean, Louis Eriksson goes to the desert.
Scoring machine.
2 goals, and he had 1 assist in 7 games last year. He gets 2 goals and an assist in preseason. And, Geeta, I know what you're thinking.
Okay, tell me.
These are goals and points on net with a goalie in it.
Right.
And the goalie did not play for the Arizona Coyotes. He's scoring real-life goals against humans.
What you're saying is there's a rejuvenated Louis Eriksson in Arizona right now.
Nobody gives a heck in Arizona. They got rid of their dress code.
Right.
They got rid of they brought back the Conchita. What's that? How do you pronounce that, Arash?
Don't ask me. The Kachita?
Is that it?
Okay.
Everything's
We're going to get killed in the comments.
They got rid of Oliver Ekman Larson.
Yeah, which apparently was the worst player ever. They brought in all these heart and soul guys that were just they were in their Vancouver cocoon. Now they're in Arizona. They're beautiful butterflies. We've seen that once or twice. Cliff Ronan goes down there, scores 30 goals.
Actually, I was thinking something entirely different.
Oh?
Before you told me. I'm like, you know what? It's exciting. There is only one contract we are skeptical about.
Yeah.
But and it's a new person. It's not year after year of, it's Beagle.
I think
it's exciting.
Yeah, it's great. And like I think there's also a discrepancy between, like, we can take a team like Tampa and a team like the Canucks where Tampa,
one and the same, let's be honest.
Well, just slow down there, Tofino Brewing Company. There's a difference between having a bad contract on your team that can contribute and a bad contract on your team that literally does nothing for you.
Yeah, that literally does not play. And even when you're iddled with injuries, it's like, are they going to really bring in Louis? Can they find a warm body out back that could play,
Is Tyler Johnson a great contract? probably a little bit overpaid, and he got a crazy amount of term. Can he contribute? Yeah, he can play all 3 forward positions for you. And is he consistent? No. But can he contribute in an offensive way? Yes. Is Louis Eriksson a great contract? Well,
according to these numbers,
if there's an empty net, the man looks like a dude possessed at the Roxy, just being like, "Oh my God, you're open, yeah, sick, take me home, country road," you know, like, man, I fuck with John Denver, he's so cool, you know, like that kind of shit. So yeah, I think I think we've also been like so accustomed to having these bad contracts that just do not. It's not that they underdeliver; they literally like. The dude who got the package to deliver to your house like quit halfway and threw the package into a river.
Yeah.
And you're like, where's the package? I don't even know. But
it may not be good, but it's fresh.
It's fresh. And I don't know. I'm actually also a big fan of OEL. I think he has in terms of fantasy hockey value, he's a pretty cool player. All right. Aside from plus minus.
Everybody clamors to draft him first.
Are you trying to gaslight the Pucks on Net Fantasy League into taking OEL early so you could maneuver around him?
Y'all are playing checkers. I'm here playing Dota 2. Oh yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it is so funny to look back and laugh where we've had emergency podcasts scheduled for the inevitable firing of Jim Benning, the Travis Green leaving and taking all of these players with him with trade demands.
Yeah, do you remember late January of this year?
Well, I watched the first 2 episodes of All or Nothing, and that's when they go to Toronto and around the Super Bowl.
Okay.
And the Leafs beat the shit out of the Canucks. And I remember like, why was this so significant? Because we're probably in the group chat being like, okay, it's going to happen on Monday. We're working from
Everyone
home.
Get prepared.
Dust off your microphone, Geeta.
They were in the midst of whatever, like that 13 in a row losing streak or something. Or like Travis Green isn't coming home from this road trip.
He hates it here. He hates all of us.
It was that stretch run where every ghost of Canucks past came to haunt us. They lost on like Hockey Night in Canada like 7-3 or whatever against the Maple Leafs.
Their record for the Pucks on Net postgame show, which hopefully makes a return this year, was like 1-8.
It was crazy. It was nuts, and it was I think one of the darkest stretches of this franchise history.
Well, we talk about, sorry to cut you off, but like we had the cutoff, we had the season cutoff because of the start of the pandemic. Yeah. We had the bubble, and then we had this nonsensical 2021 season, which thinking about the Canucks playing hockey and then the playoff run that we watched in the Stanley Cup Finals feels like decades between one another.
Yeah.
Yes.
And just like watching those empty arena games and all or nothing, I'm like, when was that? And that was in February.
Yeah.
People wonder why there was the most biggest break from hockey. And when we took our summer vacation, there was nothing because like we had been in generations of pandemic strange hockey.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, all of this has happened and just like, it was awful, you know? Mm-hmm. And now we're getting back to things. We're getting back to fans in the arena, and it feels really good.
Yeah, we're getting back to an EDM version of Sweet Caroline in the arenas. You need it. You need it. Okay, hockey's not anything without classic rock, but with 808 synths put in, so that all the millennials will love it.
Is there an MIA sample?
Maybe, I don't know, just like a ching ching bang bang, paper planes type of thing going
on. And there's, I don't want to pick sides because I like to be
pick a side.
Yeah.
It's funny to laugh at everybody with the doom and gloom. Mm-hmm. And now it was Travis Hamonek. Oh, he's this, he's that. They signed him for all this money. They didn't do their due diligence. Mm-hmm. And it's like, he'll be playing. He's not opted out of the season. Mm-hmm. He's got he has some legitimate personal things to deal with.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We wouldn't know anything about that. We've never had things in our personal lives become a little all-encompassing to your job. And you know what? If you can get the time because, this management and this organization respects and believes you, then take the time away. And he'll be back. And then they need him because that back end, as touched on and Are You Ready for It or Ready or Not. I can't remember what it's called now.
It's rough, man.
What is it called?
It's Ready or Not.
Ready or
Here
Not
I
with
come.
2 Ds.
You can't hide.
But that's the Fugees. I thought you were going with Taylor Swift.
Are you ready for it?
Are you ready for it?
Yeah, that's the intro. Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll just stick with Are You Ready for It. That one works
Sure.
way better.
Yeah, that right side looks awful.
But it could be okay.
Yeah, we guys, we talked about it before, where it's like, listen, let's have fun with this. Let's have fun with this year.
Yeah.
Like, I know people are gripping ready to like call into 650 and 1040. Like,
Does anybody still
No
work
one's
there?
there to answer.
no, okay. You can't tell me there aren't like some people in the Fraser Valley who still have like the 1040 thing on their speed dial, and they're like, "Why aren't they answering me? Gosh darn it!"
1041 Poison Control 2.
It's like all they keep playing is this damn Green Day song. I don't know, time of my life I ain't having it. Is this the due diligence in terms of Travis Hamonek? Yeah, he's going through personal shit. And Jim, I think Jim coming out and saying what he did last week to Ben Kuzma.
What did he say?
Basically, paraphrasing, he just said, he's like, I think just people should just stay out of his business.
Yeah.
He's going through something and he doesn't owe you an explanation. And I think you guys just need to shut up pretty much.
And then
You guys need to stop speculating. It doesn't.
There's so much speculation. There was so much speculation during the bubble. There's so much speculation leading into this season. Like, it's just... It's like telephone, where it's one person said something and somebody else has heard something
Purple
else.
monkey
and now,
dishwasher.
And now it's like this. It may, like, Travis Hamonek obviously collapsed Facebook today.
Yeah, exactly. And we live in a time and age right now in terms of sports where everyone's first thing was he's anti-vax.
Yeah, and they're sensationalizing everything.
Yeah.
To just to fill up 8 minutes, like we always say, or just to get a quote tweet cooking.
Yeah, and this stuff with Travis Hamonek, if this stuff with Travis Hamonek just started now, then okay, yeah, maybe you can make a passable speculative thought on what's happening in his life. He has an immunocompromised child. He has sat out the bubble. He has had time before where he's needed to live in Western Canada for personal reasons.
How much more does he have to spell out without spelling
He
out?
has and also it does not matter how many millions he's making. He is a human being and he has shit going on in his life. If he wants to play, he will play, and if he doesn't want to play, he won't play. He'll be ready when he's ready. It's the same thing with Sutter. Sutter came out and basically told the organization, he's like, I'm not ready right now, and I'm not going to push myself to be ready for the start of the year.
But what does that mean?
What is the Brandon Sutter
fatigue?
Fatigue. It's no.
Well, what we forget is all these guys also just had COVID.
Yes.
Really badly.
Like terrible.
And thank God we didn't, but I don't know what the lingering effects are.
Well, I mean, you look at Josh Archibald in Edmonton, who was like the last guy to get vaccinated in Canada, and now he's got the same heart condition that Alex Stalock had. And it's like, this isn't like, I can't...
Jonathan Taves sat out an entire season and they kept that under wraps for so long until they couldn't.
Yeah, it's because it's almost like this isn't a common flu, and there are underlying, there are a lot of crazy offshoot things that can happen to you from getting it, complication.
I'm going to have to disagree. All you have to do is snort some ivermectin and you'll be fine.
Arash, I have a non-hockey question to ask you.
Yes. Don't take ivermectin, guys. Don't do it.
It's a good quote.
Don't take horse dewormer. I couldn't say horse dewormer.
I was going to ask you on a non-hockey question.
Yeah.
We're back in person since June. First podcast since July. How was your summer vacation?
Summer was... I mean, I worked all summer, but it was fine. Didn't deal with too many anti-vax people. Parents are healthy. I'm healthy. Girlfriend's healthy. Dog's healthy. You guys are healthy. Don't need to worry about anything else.
Geeta, how about you? How was your summer vacation?
Both memorable and a blur. Some of us moved this summer.
Well, that's one of the things that's coming up on the podcast this week. Is I just moved, and that's why there was no emergency podcast about the because that was like yesterday. Why would there be?
That was this weekend.
Yeah.
And I was in
And it wasn't an emergency. I mean, it wasn't an emergency for the Canucks to sign them. Therefore, it shouldn't have been an emergency to be like, oh my God, they signed them.
I should have come running up your street, banging on the windows. And I had the mixer on the mirror. They got him, guys. We got to record.
It was also literally like the worst kept secret all weekend long.
They're going to sign him. But when?
When are they going to make it official?
Yeah.
But anyway, I just moved over the weekend, and a poor, unfortunate soul helped me move. Was tasked to drive all the way from from the village of Deep Cove, his kingdom, all the way downtown to the West End.
Let me tell you what Ryan made me do, Geeta.
Okay.
Ryan made me get in my car.
Which is dangerous already.
Don't cut off an Iranian person. You've had your time.
Don't cut off Arash. That car is not going to stop. It is a death trap.
Don't you come from Abbotsford? No one problematic has ever come through Abbotsford, right?
Come on.
I'm just gonna go to Russia now. Okay, let me. What? I'm allowed to say it. It's fine.
Yeah.
He's playing at Magnitogorsk.
I'm not familiar with who you're talking about, but please continue about your anecdote.
I will
Also
talk to you about
banned.
it.
Is that should we break that out right now?
Yeah.
we should.
Okay.
That was a good segue. Now we can actually explain what the band was.
Okay, so every week we're not sold on this name yet, but the other segment we have is each week you can either can add or remove something, someone, an argument from the Pucks on Net band list. That's the working title right now, is the Pucks on Net band list. If you can come up with a better one that doesn't sound like we're putting a list of our favorite bands out there, you can tweet us or hit us up on Instagram now that it's working again. But we need a better name and a better segment. But we're banning things we're tired of talking about on this podcast and in sports. We're doing you a favor. We're doing ourselves a favor. And whoever starts the show off with their little editorial segment can also add or remove somebody from that list. So, Miss Reddy, you have the first honors this season. So who's getting put on the Pucks on Net band list?
Oh, we are banning Redacted.
Redacted. And if you need to know who Redacted is, just look up Abbotsford notable residents, and below me,
all you have to do is look up top draft pick busts of the 2010s, and that should be pretty.
Just Google sweaty breathing through their mouth, and that's who the list is. The list. So our first addition to the Pucks on Net band list is Redacted.
Lovely.
And who's going to be on there next week? You got to tune in to find out. But anyway, Arash, back to what I was forcing you to do.
Anyway, so Geeta, Ryan, this is a Wednesday.
Yeah.
Ryan, this 33-ish-year-old man asks me, Arash, can you help me move?
I got a couple. We'll come down to the West End. We'll have a couple laughs. Yeah, we'll be good.
He told me to just come down, right?
Yeah.
So I asked him.
He told you to come help him move, or did he say, come hang out with me?
No, come help him move.
U-Haul?
I wish I could have sat at the U-Haul and hung out.
Did you have shoes on?
I had shoes on.
Okay.
So I asked him what time.
Yeah.
And he's like, between 4 or 5. I'm like, okay, peak traffic time in Metro Vancouver. But okay, I'll deal with it. And then I look at the weather forecast, and it is like the biggest rainfall of the year. And so I'm driving through what is I assume hell.
I think you hydroplaned the whole way
I
there.
hydroplaned like 19 times. There are people who do not understand the concept of right away. Like rain happens in Vancouver, and people are like, okay, so I guess free-for-all rules are here. If you hit my car, it's your fault. Whatever. I'll be like taking a left turn, and I remember I'm trying to take a left turn onto the street to go up to Ryan's house. There's a lady coming at me. There's a steady yellow.
Yeah.
She has her turning signal on to turn right. So I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm in the middle of the lane. I'm going to turn left. She should stop.
Right.
She does not stop.
Oh, no.
She goes straight through, like a meter away from hitting my car.
I believe it.
And I'm like, okay, well, that's what we're doing. Anyway, helped him move a bunch of boxes, and then these movers that your girlfriend hired, instead of packing the van, the U-Haul thing, to the back of the truck, they packed everything flat. So we had to repack the entire. Your stepdad.
Oh.
Yeah, you can call him that.
Yeah, your stepdad.
What a delight! What a great.
What a pal. He had some insights into dating in 2021.
He did. We had a very lovely conversation at the end about relationships.
Let me tell you, it was very cute.
Yeah, I think he was nothing that you expected.
No,
because he's like, oh, some boomer from North Van that I'm gonna have to talk about the BC Lions with.
Yeah, and I'm like, hey, Casey Printers. He's like, what? Casey Printers. Man, he used to run for a lot of yards back in the day. So. Anyway, I have to help Ryan move all this stuff, and Errol's there.
Yeah.
And then, we finished pretty quickly, and then you pack up a bunch of stuff into my car. I have to drive it to your girlfriend's house.
Oh, yeah.
Right by my house. And, I haven't seen a dime. I haven't seen a cent.
Did he not pay you in pizza and beer?
No, he didn't. You know what? The one thing I'm going to ask for, Geeta, do you know what I'm going to ask for?
What are you going to ask for?
Right now on the podcast, do you know what I'm going to ask you for, Ryan?
Yep, I do.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am putting Ryan in the corner for helping him move. Also, a block away from my girlfriend now, so we're very close.
A literal block.
A literal block away. He lives above a Dairy Queen and a Tim Hortons.
Yeah.
And on the grounds of an old haunted Burger King, but that's for another podcast. I am requesting 3 game days.
Oh, that's it? I was just going to give you the login.
No. You would never dare. I would ruin
There's
it.
2-step verification.
I am asking for 3 game days in which Ryan gives up the Pucks on Net Twitter to me for the game day, in which I am allowed to tweet anything I want.
Not anything.
I am allowed to tweet anything I want. I also can retweet my stuff and Geeta's, and you will not be mentioned once. You could post the most fire memes, and I'd be like, "No, I'm not hitting that quote."
It's just not.
No,
it's not my tempo.
Not my tempo. No, I don't want to. This is lukewarm at best.
Ooh,
so cool.
Are these only Philadelphia Flyer games, or are they at your choosing?
Shit, I was gonna pick the 28th on the Flyers because I was gonna be at the game.
Yeah, go ahead.
And I'll be like, this is a Claude Giroux Twitter account.
Can you imagine though, Geeta, if I get offered Arash beer and pizza, the two things that are just like offensive to him?
I would have thought that was really ironic.
Hey Arash, I got some fresh slice for you here.
Hey Arash, guess what? Where you got some beer and pizza, I know the place. Oh, where is it? You might know it very well. And I'm like, no.
Hey, can you go back there and just turn the lights on?
It's like, you're like, Arash. Arash, what do you order?
I'll give the year's first shout out to Pomegranate, who fed me and Amelia, friend of the podcast, on Friday night.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Was
Very
Arash
sweetly.
there?
Geeta had the cutest thing where she called the shop while I was working. And I saw the caller ID, and I'm like, oh my God. And she's like, hello. And I'm like, oh my God, you called me and I'm working? Oh my God. She ordered chicken pesto pizza and a Greek pizza.
Yep.
And then she came by right as I was making a group of people 4 mochas. And I was like, Jesus fucking Christ.
How constructive were they?
Oh my God. I'm just like, Jesus fucking Christ. Like, can you just order a water? So I was making these mochas and I just saw Geeta. I'm like, okay, Geeta, these pizzas are going to get cold. Just take the pizzas and go. She offered to pay and I said no. Then she threatened to pay, and then I had to ward her off by gunpoint. I told her, I'm not taking your money.
Because Arash and his parents now feed me.
It's great. It's great.
Now they know that you live so close, so they're going to be walking up the road in the rain with like a pizza.
Yeah.
Looking, and you're like, sorry, guys.
But to finish, like, could you know how hilarious it would be if you're like, yeah, we're going to go order some pizzas at your favorite pizza place, Pomegranate. I'm like, okay, that's funny. And then you're like, all right, Arash, what do you have? And I'll be like, spinach pesto pizza. And you'll be like, okay, go ahead and make it.
Oh, my God.
What? I'll be like, oh, you're not wrong. My dad's like, why am I making the pizza? You want pizza, go make it yourself. I'm like, but Dad, this is a date.
It tastes so much better when you make it, Dad.
This isn't a delivery restaurant. It is now.
It is now. It's not DiGiorno.
Your dad's hydroplaning all the way to my place.
Oh, my God.
I've told this story. I think I've told it to both of you, but I keep getting gigantic laughs with it, so I hate that I'm touting it, so I'm going to tell it again on the podcast.
Oh, my God.
Because we're talking about summer vacations.
Mm-hmm.
So I became a fan of sporting events. I went in head first into the super spreader events, and I went to a British Columbia Lions game. Mm-hmm. I went to 2 Whitecaps game. Fell in love with the boys, the way they kick the ball on the pitch, and they wear knit tops
Yeah.
and scarves.
Yeah.
And they come up with songs that people sing. Loved it. Couldn't get enough of it. Decided I'm going to buy a Whitecaps jersey. I really liked it.
Yeah.
And I go on
The kit.
The kit.
The kit.
Look at the pro over here. Okay, Ted Lasso. And I go to the merch stand. They only have the authentic kit. $170. The hell with that. I don't like this beautiful game that much. Go on the Adidas website and they got it 45% off. The exact kit I want, the replica, $60. Hell yeah. Free shipping over $50, $70 all done. Got a large, happy as a clam. There was one caveat. When I won every 4 years, Geeta knows this, or every 2 years, there's a World Cup or a Euro Cup, and I'm ready to embrace my Dutch roots, and I'm like, this is the year I buy a dumb Netherlands soccer kit and football kit. And I went to Sport Check, and it was a bit of a husky month. There was a lot of ice cream cakes involved, trips to Red Robin, and
I remember that month.
Yeah, the large and the extra large, one fit too snug, the other one fit too big. And so I bought this one willy-nilly on the internet, and I'm like, man, I really hope this fits me. And I was really bored one Saturday. The love of my life was out of town, so I was walking the streets with nothing to do, no direction.
I was here all summer. What are you talking about?
Oh, well, come Saturdays, you're busy making pizzas.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So I go, I'm going to go to Sport Check. I'm going to try on one of those Whitecaps jerseys, and I'm going to see how they fit. I had just gotten in the mail a bunch of shirts I bought off the internet that I normally buy for work, but they accidentally sent me slim fit shirts.
Okay.
And they didn't fit my broad shoulders, so I'm already feeling like a bit of a fatty because these slim fit shirts wouldn't fit me. So I go to Sport Check and I'm looking and I find these youth jerseys and it's all a bit of a scatter. And then I find a large and an extra large jersey. I'm like, okay, these are the adult ones. So I take them into the change room and I put on the large and I pull it over me, and I'm like, this is the strangest fitting garment I've ever put on in my life. It's snug everywhere. It rides up the side and drapes down the front, and I can't move in it. I'm like, this is a large, surely I can't be this fat. I'm having a moment in the change room.
Surely there is not that many calories in ice cream.
So I put on the extra large, and it still fits me. It kind of fits me, but it's just I've never put on something that fits like this. And I'm just having such a moment in the change room. Well, I got to start running 10Ks every day and ice cream cakes just to special occasions and weekends.
Right.
And
Special occasions, weekends, maybe a Tuesday here. Or
Thursdays, And I'm just this fucking sucks. The second that shirt or that jersey arrives, I got to return it. There's no question. So it arrives later in the week, and I come home and it's waiting for me, and I'm like, okay, this is the jersey I'm way too fat for. And I open it up, I'm like, yeah, this looks pretty normal. And I put it on. It fits me like a glove. It fits perfect. And at that moment, I realized I was trying on women's jerseys at Sport Check.
No.
And
no one came and told you anything because they're like, this man.
Well, I looked at the tags. I showed Amanda, and it said Van something W jersey.
Okay.
And you thought Whitecaps instead of women's.
Or white, because the jersey's white.
Okay.
So I thought about wearing it on the podcast today, but I didn't.
Why didn't you?
I don't know.
Instead, you picked Tofino Brewing Company.
Hey, that's where we're going to be next month. Do you know that?
Damn, pal.
Let's go on a little more talking points. We'll head into questions and wrap this mother up.
No, we won't. We're going for another hour.
Another hour?
We're going for another hour. This is the debut episode, Ryan.
Yeah.
Come on. You're already through your beer. The first half was you getting your shakes and jimmies out of the way because you're like, well, welcome, folks on net. Is there crackling? Oh no! Do I look fat on the camera? Is the camera okay? And then you're just on the board, and you're like, oh god.
That's why the
levels aren't good in keto. I don't know what's happening.
I sweat into the board, and that's why your mic is screwed up.
You're good. We're in a rhythm, baby. Come on. This is a let's see what kind of podcast is this now, Geeta? This is a Massachusetts-based male-dominated podcast. So we're just gonna. Can you think of any of them like that?
No, I'm not familiar with that. Bruins Beat.
Oh no, bro, dude.
Beantown Bears?
Dude, crazy, right? Yo, so Geeta and I, right? We're at Dunkies. We're getting a double, crushing it hard, bro. And right, Geeta, remember when we were doing that?
Hey, yo.
Yeah. She knows.
What is this, a Sopranos prequel?
Hey. Oh, Maron, what are you doing? Anyway, bro, we're at Dunkies.
Tony Danza.
That's Tony Danza. He's still in the company, right? He's whatever it is. Anyway, do not interrupt me again, right? So, anyway, bro, we're down at Gloucester, right? We're going to go to a Bees game. Okay, because Tuukka Rask, they signed this guy, Linus Ullmark, whatever his name is, right, bro? Like, bro, like, Ullmark? What is this? What is it? Am I going to puke halfway through? Anyway, he's a pretty good goalie. He got to shut up. No thanks to you. You know, it's great. Anyway, so they had, the Bees were playing, bro. Marchand was there, bro. Marshy, oh my God. Halsey, bro. Anyway, row 6. Oh my God, Rye. Geeta and I were looking. There were 2 honeys, and by honeys, I mean 2 dudes. Oh my God, Maron. Let me tell you, dude. So out of our league. Anyway, I went down, and I was like, yo, what's up? You guys, like, what's going on? You guys dating anyone? And they're like, yo, my name's Jay Cassidy. I'm the head coach of the Boston Bruins. I'm like, sorry to waste your time, sir. Went back to my seat. Fucking strikeout, am I right? So that's just...
So that our new segment is Beantown Bears, obviously.
I love it.
Okay, yes, we have a new... Okay, we should have a button that any of us can press at one point in time, and for like the next 2 minutes, we have to talk in like a Bostonian.
But that's only you can do that impression. Geeta did a Tony Danza impression.
No, let's work on it. Let's work on it right. Oh no, my mic went out for a second. Okay, let's work on it right now for a second. So Geeta.
Hey, I'm walking in.
All right, now that's kind of New York, right? so okay.
That is really broad.
So Geeta.
Yeah.
Boston.
Yeah.
So, like Boston,
like Carter Hot.
Bro. Now, okay, say Dunkies. Bro, oh my God, bro, so good. Carter Hot, so good. Anyway, it's so good. Yeah, no ma. Ryan, what'd you do this weekend, bro? Come on, Ryan, just listen to the sultry tones of my voice. Get Boston in. Come on, Boston.
Yeah, watch
Harvard.
The Yankees play the Sox.
Yo, and
gotta watch the Bo Sox, baby.
Bro, wild card, my life. Yankees, the Sox, bro. Sorry about your M's, man. I'm sorry. That was the biggest hot take. Yo, Shakespeare could not have written such a tragedy. Let me tell you, Ichiro crying all the way in Japan. He's like, oh no,
he works for the team.
No, he doesn't, bro. How do you know that? You don't know anything about that. Anyway, you like baseball?
I love baseball. I can't do it. Stop anything.
This is a great segment, guys. This is gonna be great. We're gonna. Okay, this is your homework for the next week. You have to watch Good Will Hunting like 5 times.
I'll come up with some sort of white guy movie to make you watch. It'll be actually that's a pretty white guy movie.
Oh, Tin Cup. What are you gonna do?
Tin Cup.
You're gonna be like, Arash, you're gonna watch Tin Cup or Field of Dreams.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, it's a white man just having a large.
The Legend of Bagger Vance.
The Legend of Bagger Vance.
That's pretty white.
Yeah. Robin Leonard said a lot on Twitter.
God love him.
Mm-hmm.
Love him. Go off, King.
And I believe him.
I believe him as well. 100%.
I don't see any reason for him not to tell the truth.
I find it so funny because you watch the Stanley Cup final. We watched the Montreal Canadiens player by player just like go down with injury, leave and then. Oh, they're going to muster up the courage to come back. It's like, listen, they are mustering up a lot of courage. Mustering up more courage than we could ever imagine in our lives for what they're doing to try to win the Stanley Cup. That being said, they are likely abusing some sort of painkiller or prescription drugs to get them to that spot, to have that remaining courage. And it's like that in all sports, and it's very dangerous, and it's what we all kind of don't want to admit or act like exists because it does. And I find it funny that this all started by some snot-nosed journalism student in Philly that somehow has a blue check mark and everybody believed because nobody did their homework. It's like, Drew Wheeler, this guy sounds like he's a guy, and he has since like locked his account and be like, the information I got was not accurate. And somebody that didn't learn that just because they're sources doesn't mean they're telling you everything that's happening. But basically, a lot of people in the NHL don't like what the Sabres are doing to Jack Eichel, and Jack Eichel's
it's
bad.
insane.
Yeah.
It's awful.
And we don't have to spend a lot of time on that because there's far better podcasts that can explain what's happening with Jack Eichel.
Okay, can I give an elevator pitch of what's happening with
Please.
Jack Eichel?
How many floors?
Literally one floor. I'll be done in 20 seconds. Anyway, Jack Eichel wants
Second
to have
floor, menswear.
Anyway, we're going. You want me to talk about Jackie or what, bro?
I would like you to talk about
Thank
Jack
you.
Eichel,
I'm gonna
please.
talk about
'Cause I do. I find this fascinating.
So,
what's happening there?
So Jack Eichel wants to have a specific neck surgery that is like a disc replacement surgery, is it the replacement? It's a fusion surgery.
I believe Sid got the same one.
No, it's never been given to an NHL player. So
Okay.
he wants to have a specific neck surgery done that's never been done to a NHL player. Buffalo Sabres do not want that surgery because they just feel like it's never been done. So blah blah blah. So he's in this weird escrow position where he has not had the surgery on this injury that it happened while he was playing a game. He did not have this injury happen like ski-doing or going to donkeys. I love saying going to donkeys. It's so fun. He had this happen during an NHL game. And so he has not had surgery. He is in this limbo where teams like the Buffalo Sabres are also not disclosing medical information to other NHL teams.
Okay.
So other NHL teams
really messed up.
He's trapped.
He's trapped. He's also probably in a tremendous amount of pain.
Like his quality of life, again, does not matter how much money someone is making. Like when you're in pain, you're in pain. So he's stuck in this position where
his employer is dictating.
His employer is dictating what he can and cannot do with his body. Where the Buffalo Sabres are, their logic is probably saying, if he goes and he elects to have this surgery that's never been given to an NHL player, okay, he goes and gets it. What if he becomes a 50-point player?
Yeah.
And then we're paying him $10 million and we have to keep paying him, whatnot. That might be a thinking point in their head.
Yeah.
And instead of that, it's an investment. And instead of being like, okay, this is actually an actual human being.
We're at a point.
So they're not actually my most naive thought around it would be like, well, they don't want him to damage his body further so that like he's paralyzed or something, knock on wood, something to that extreme, like because it's such a new experimental type surgery. I don't actually know if it's experimental or not.
It's been done to other athletes. It's just never been done.
It's also a precedent setter.
Right.
Precedent setter. So if the Sabres do this and his window of recovery is much longer, but it's a longer, better payoff and better for his quality of life in the present and in the future. Other teams are going to be like, well, geez, maybe if we just continue to treat these athletes like they're plow horses or race horses, we'll get we'll squeeze every drop out of them now, and then when it's done, it's not our problem.
Because nowhere else in real life does your employer really dictate, like, if you needed knee surgery, your employer isn't going to tell you what kind of knee surgery
exactly. And
you get.
It's incredibly messed up.
It's your choice. It's like you go do your research with your doctor and they talk to you and they look at your medical history, your family history, and they give you the best advice that they can. And if you want, you can go get a reference or a second reference, third reference.
And in
whatever.
these situations, you hope that the team doctors have your best interest in heart. But unfortunately, the team doctors are being paid by the teams.
Yeah.
And therefore, their best interest is that of the teams.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's another thing where Robin Lehner spoke out, and he played for the Sabres. He obviously likes Jack Eichel and doesn't like what they're doing, and you can call sour grapes all you want, but this is just like he's telling what he's seen. He has no reason to lie about this, and I have no reason to not believe what he's saying. He's an honest man. They don't have their best interest in it, and we saw this in baseball with Tyler Skaggs, who, people on the communications team were giving him OxyContin, and they're like getting it very, illegally.
Yeah.
And, now he's talking about them giving out Ambien, and, that's a prescribed, that's a prescription. And if they're just handing it to you like candy, that's not good.
Well,
it
was something I was reminded of is, Sam from the broadcast actually tweeted. She's like, Does no one remember the Price of Pain documentary that came out?
That just came out, yeah.
Like, do we not, like, with what's been happening, like Ryan Kessler and all this stuff, like, this is not new.
Yeah.
But it's so interesting how until someone comes out and says something, you keep going along with it.
Yeah. Right. And the subject of team doctors or doctors that are on the employ that are going to fix you, but they're also going to fix you or in a way that benefits their employer much more significantly. And, to make a wrestling comparison, it was when CM Punk right before he left WWE, he got a concussion in the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
And he's laying out on the ground, and the doctor comes up to him, and he goes, "Doc, I got a concussion." And the doc goes, "What do you want me to do about it?"
Let's recreate it, okay? I'll be CM Punk, and I'll be like, it's Royal Rumble, and I've got a concussion. Kofi Kingston, love Kofi. If you're listening to this, love you to death. Gives me a concussion. I'm laying down on the ground. The doctor comes out and said, "Doctor, I have a concussion." And then the doctor says,
"Well, what do you want me to do about it?"
And then I just said, "Doc, you're the biggest piece of shit in the world." "Well, do you want to finish the match?" "I'll finish the match." It's like, "Oh, Kane's gonna pull you out." It's like, if Kane pulls me out, I swear to God, I will quit. And there's Glenn, corporate Kane in his slacks, just sitting there about to pull me out of the Royal Rumble.
"I'm sorry."
I'm sorry. And they choke slams me through a table. I go to the back and I quit.
Yeah, and
Geeta's like,
wrestling on this show.
Wrestling,
but yeah, and
wrestling. Damn it!
Hey, yeah, you gotta wait 2 weeks. But he spouted off. This came from the reports that it was Nolan Patrick because he was dealing with migraines, and it turns out it wasn't him, but it was the Flyers organization. He's since gone out to clarify that he was not talking about Alain Vigneault or accusing Alain Vigneault or doing anything.
Even though he hashtagged Alain Vigneault.
Yeah. Well, he didn't add him. That's the big difference.
Yeah, no, hashtag and adding people is very different.
But he, he's just bringing awareness to it that this is a problem, and and Alain Vigneault may have that type of old boys.
Right.
Let's get out there. Why don't you suck it up a bit more kind of approach to things.
I think it's good that he's bringing light to it. It's something that we kind of turn a blind eye to on a day-to-day basis. We're not stopping to think about what they're actually having to do in order to play 82 games a year.
And who's
at the level that they do.
Yeah, and who's normally bringing light to this? Players that were enforcers or hard-hitting guys or had a reputation that, an off-ice reputation, and they can easily write them off saying, "Oh, this guy's a drunk. He's just trying to make money, and he was a goon." But Robin Lehner is an elite goalie in the NHL. Robin Lehner is the franchise goalie for the Vegas Golden Knights, a team that the NHL cares a great deal about because that is one of their franchises they're trying to, put on to showcase. And if he's very openly discussing his mental health issues and being bipolar and the negative effects of the bubble. You want a player of that caliber in that spot to speak out, because if you don't, you just have the Wayne Gretzky turned into the Sidney Crosby approach of speaking out.
Yep. No, absolutely. Because there were so many people, you just look at that thread, and then there's people calling him out and saying such negative things about him.
Yeah.
Because it's easy for people to just want to deny it and say he's not good. He's got mental health issues. And it's no, he's bringing attention to something that needs to have that attention brought to it, especially in this day and age.
Just show us some proof and we'll believe you. Shut up.
Yeah. And the, it's stuff like this that makes me think about the NBA and where the power that the players have in the NBA is so absolute, where they don't stand for anything, and the league backs majority of players. If it's social injustice, if it is what's been happening with the bubbles and the pandemic, the stuff they did in Disneyland and stuff. I think that's one thing that I'd really love at least NHL players to kind of realize is you have a lot of agency, and you have a lot of power, and part and parcel that I feel like a few of the younger players in the league, the younger superstars, Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, Elias, Pettersson, Brady Tkachuk, etc. Jack Eichel, yeah, to an extent. They kind of understand that it's it's not the strong silent type league anymore. If you have a problem with something, you have the power to voice it. No, your dad isn't going to come and give you a spanking. Yeah, like you're an adult, you see something wrong, voice it. And with this, you look at the opioid crisis in North America that's been going on, and these players, like, after you're done in the NHL, they do not care about you.
Better save your money, kid.
Yeah.
You are a commodity to the league, and unless they can sell your merch after you're done and put you in the Hall of Fame or bring you out for community events or put you in alumni thing, they don't care. Like if you were a middle six player that played for a team for 5 or 6 years and then you no longer play for that team, you can't call them up 2 years, a few years after down the road and be like, hey, like, can you help me? They don't care. They have their own shit they have to deal with. You weren't a superstar or whatever. You were an agency. They're going to quote unquote, I'd like to use this word that Ryan uses a lot. They like to big league you. Yeah. They're like, just whatever.
Well, the NHL has its own problems because, I mean, they're looking out for themselves, their best interests at all times. Is there a way that they can keep having their... And I love their model of how the schedule is created and how the format of the playoffs and how tough it is. And they don't want to change anything because that's how they market it. But, at the second that Evander Kane is accused of betting on games, they have the most in-depth, full-fledged Woodward and Bernstein investigation to figure out if he gambled or not, because that was in their best interest. But when it comes time to doing their investigation on what the fuck the Blackhawks knew in 2010, we're still getting to the bottom of that.
Crazy.
And now they're gonna say we're gonna reach out to Robin Leonard, we're gonna figure things out, and he's been like, yeah, they talked, it wasn't that great. Like his best interest and for the leagues and the fans is for him to be as outspoken as humanly possible as long as he can in this position. Or else you have guys like all the guys that were in those NHL lawsuits about the concussions, 95% of them, they just go, he's a nobody. He just wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
If you sit around waiting for the NHL to solve some of the problems that the NHL has, you're going to be waiting a long goddamn time for that. Yeah. You're going to be waiting a really long time for them to, come out and say some spoiler plate stuff on Twitter, being like, you know what, we stand for racial justice.
Do you?
You did that, and that's what they do. That they find the corporate angle on something. If this is the Chicago Blackhawks and being and the atrocities that have gone on in that organization, and now we are continuing this investigation, and it's not on front page news anymore. They're buying time. But as soon as something is coming to affect the league and the profit margins and anything, they'll be on it snap second. Yeah. Gary Bettman has his positives and his negatives. In terms of positives being, he brought expansion to markets that we never thought would host an NHL team, broad exposure, new TV deals, etc. Negatives, in terms of being a progressive league, like, I give credit to the Vancouver Canucks for at least being one of the more progressive teams, like, at least on social media.
Right.
If you look at indigenous issues, celebration of Asian culture, whatever the community is, they're the first people. They don't wait to have like that uniform thing that every team will like post the same spoiler, but they'll just go ahead and they'll do it. They know they're going for it.
Well, especially in a market like this that is so diverse.
Very diverse.
You
especially with
would have to be.
And the logo on their jersey, for crying out loud.
Yeah, and so, this is definitely not the NBA with Adam Silver coming out, banning Donald Sterling for life, looking directly in the camera and saying, you know what, guess what? I had a talk with him. He's guilty. And he's guilty, and this is the verdict, and he will never be in this in this league now. But hey, we're going to keep rehiring the same problematic people that have unsolved accusations given to them, because hey, man, innocent until proven guilty. It's like, well, how about guilty until proven innocent? Maybe like a little bit.
Exactly.
Right.
Not to be totally out there. But how many people in this league have gotten away with things in terms of they just kind of wait for everything to be swept under the rug?
I mean,
so many people have gotten second, third, fourth chances.
Because people have
the Montreal Canadiens have really stepped in it, and they continue to, and they've doubled down on that.
Yeah, and now the propaganda package of, well, poor Shea Weber, and they lost their captain, and he might not be able to play again. We've already forgotten about all the dumb shit they've done.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we haven't forgotten, but they're just not talking about it.
Yeah.
Just crazy stuff. Crazy stuff, this league. You got to love it one day and just baffled that you're watching it the next.
Your dog at our feet has been surprisingly good, I got to say.
Misha's doing great.
Surprisingly good. I've only seen the first 2 episodes of Toronto Maple Leafs All or Nothing, so we'll put a pin in that.
Okay.
But I have enjoyed it quite a bit, mainly interactions with Jimmy Vesey and Kyle Dubas and Sheldon Keefe talking to each other and how to talk to players. I thought it was tremendous. But again, we got to keep watching that. Go on some questions, and we'll wrap it up for the week. Travis Elliott, Patreon backer. He's in the Fantasy League. If you want to join the Fantasy League, become a $5 Patreon backer. Patreon.com/PucksOnNet. Travis Elliott asks, why did you take such a long break? How much more hipster has Arash become? And how many years were added to his life after the Hughes signing?
Whoa. How long of a break did we take?
2... I'd say like 10 weeks, late July to early October.
I mean, to be fair, there wasn't much news going on. And Travis also lives in Colorado, and I'm just assuming he's been really high most of the time.
It is the Mile High City.
Most of our breaks go from late June to the beginning of October.
Exactly.
So this is a short break, Travis.
Yeah.
Sit down.
No, he's fine. He's playing Final Fantasy Online. He's enjoying his life.
But like we were saying, like when we wrapped up, previous years, I'd be like, man, we should really, we should maybe get a summer podcast. There's some interesting things happening.
No, we were like free agency, and we're like, okay, we're done.
Bye.
Bye.
And it wasn't just us. It was every media outlet.
Yeah.
Because if it wasn't the COVID shortened season and then the speculation and the let's spin our tires for literally 4 months, then do the bubble, quick turnaround, and then the shortened season, like this was a 2-year journey in terms of covering it or playing it or being illustrious podcasters such as ourselves.
Everyone's earned a break.
And it was great. And it wasn't until last week or so I'd be like, man, I can't wait to do the podcast.
Yeah, there's actual stuff that we can talk about.
How many more years have been added to your life since the Hughes signing?
Since the Hughes signing, baby, I don't know. I just cannot wait to argue with Travis about Cale McCarr versus Quinn Hughes for the next.
Cale's better.
Year. Cale is better. Yeah, no, Cale is better. It's fine.
But I mean, he should be.
It's okay. It's fine. It's fine, Travis. You have Nazem Kadri before he gets suspended in the playoffs again.
I always
he just steps on the ice and like, get out of here.
You out.
Alex Newhook, you're 2C now. Go.
Dirty Viking, which I believe is our new Patreon backer, Richard Honeycutt. He goes, how will Arash do in his sophomore campaign? Did Geeta look good this year in training camp? And what's Ryan's new intro going to be if he's no longer adjacent to the pump jack? So I'll answer my question first.
Sure.
Okay.
We're doing it remote next week because it's in the midst of Thanksgiving and we've got the Fantasy League. So I will unveil my exciting introduction on our next Satellite Hot Stove podcast.
Nice.
I'll probably just steal Arash's idea.
What?
Arash, how did Geeta look in podcast training camp?
Let me tell you. Geeta is the veteran that you know is going to come in. She's going to give you 25 minutes.
Yeah.
She's going to give you 40 points a season. She's not going to be a liability. You're not even going to, and this is, I'm saying this as a compliment. She's going to be so good that you're not even going to realize, you're not going to notice her during games. But the fact is, she's going to be the reason you win the goddamn cup at the end of the season.
That's all accurate.
All right? Because she just does her goddamn job, and she's so goddamn good at it.
This is true. I corrected the podcast, and the listeners will never know.
Yeah.
I'm a 9-year vet.
Actually,
I showed up to the optional skate today.
and you got the And you got the added responsibilities right out the gate. Took the ball and ran with it.
Yeah, I love it.
And Arash, in your sophomore campaign, how do you think you're going to do?
Something close to Kata Hot. Probably just being like, I don't know how to do this position anymore.
How do you podcast? What was I doing before?
Oh my God, Shane Gostisper, what are you doing with the puck?
Move out of the way so I can see the damn puck.
Hey, can I go back to Everett? I'm really tired. I want to go back to Everett.
Rob Duckworth, I forgot to. It's on one of the other rundowns. Quack. He asked how many games into the season until OEL is wearing an assistant captaincy A on his sweater.
Oh, he's right off the bat. They're giving him.
I think.
Are you kidding me?
Mid-November.
They're gonna. Okay, I had that tweet that, guys, whatever you do on Canucks Twitter, apparently don't get something slightly wrong about the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Because I tweeted about it, and then I had people being...
Oh, was it the thing about, it's not his mom, it was Aunt Viv?
Yeah,
I saw it. I just didn't say anything.
It was on Viv, and I'm like, okay,
his mom? What are you, an idiot?
Well, to me, I was like, to me, she was my mom, because she was like my TV mom.
Aunt Viv.
Oh my
Uncle
fucking God, dude.
Phil.
Uncle Phil.
Wow, white people taking a black television show.
In West Philadelphia. She was in Philly.
Oh, she's in Philly? Oh, now you know Philly. Anyway, so I tweeted about it, just being essentially like the Vancouver Canucks are literally replacing Alex Edler with OEL and pretending to be Aunt Viv from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air when they switched actors and no one said anything. And then numerous people were like, actually, Google it. Jeff, or what was it? Jazz? What's his
name? DJ Jazzy Jeff.
Yeah, what's that guy's name called?
Will Smith?
No, the DJ Jazzy Jeff's character, the guy who gets thrown out all the time. He's like, ugh. What's that guy's name?
Jazz.
Okay, so yeah, Jazz keeps. Wow. So Jazz keeps. Apparently, there was that one part where like he makes a reference to it.
Yeah.
Right. Like a B-side that I didn't listen to or something. I'm sorry. I watched The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air when I was like 9. Give me a fudging break.
Did you ever see the episode where it was like a cold open and Will Smith's on the couch and they're talking about how rich they are? And he's like, if we're so rich, how come we can't afford no seal? And the camera pans up and you see no roof and just the studio lights.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
That's funny.
Yeah, I did not watch that episode. No, and then I had like numerous Twitter trolls. I had this one dude who like, I don't know if you've run into him, but he's that guy who has that Facebook, the Family Guy dude, the troll guy.
No.
And he has a profile photo that's like a Family Guy thing. Anyway, he like was trolling me, being like, "Oh, what a hit to your credibility." Oh, and I'm like,
your Fresh Prince credibility.
I'm like, dude, like. Do I have like the biggest Fresh Prince podcast in Vancouver and I'm like talking about it every day? Like, man, people have too much time on their hands.
And you
do not tweet about the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Whatever you do, don't do it. Just don't. Learn from me, kids.
Learn from Arash, and we had too much time on our hands, so we'll wrap up the podcast now. I want to thank you all for joining us and for another journey down this podcastery road. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, pucksonnet.ca or pucksonnet.ca. Go support if you want to support the podcast and buy the naming rights to the CA, go to patreon.com/pucksonnet where you can pledge a couple of bucks.
Couple of donkeys.
$5 to be exact a month will get you instant access to all our bonus content. 5 minutes for paying, which will be coming up after. And we want to thank once again our new sponsor, Richard Honeycutt, who is playing in the fantasy draft.
Greatest last name ever.
In the fantasy league. Great last name. Mills is given $1. He'll get in there too somehow. And if you don't want to support the show monetarily, that's okay. Just tell a friend. Give us a rating and a review on wherever you get your podcast from. Spread the word. Share it on your Instagram stories. Go to pucksonnet.ca. Get all our access to all our social media buttons. And, we're back. Time to podcast. Time for 5 minutes for paying. And we'll wrap it up there. We are running late.